Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. We can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning. I'm a little late here. Having some issues with NinjaTrader, but we just got the CPI number here. Spot 2 versus spot 1%. So higher than expected. But realize that spot 2 is what we typically tend to get and is kind of like on course. So I am seeing a little bit of a sell. It doesn't have to be significant, if that makes sense. Get NinjaTrader up and running here. Still got a bit... Let's see here. 2-year flipper says TN contract is a huge winner for the CME as well as the Ultras. Great seeing action again in the classics. The 10-year is still top dog even with a small decline. It's been noticeable trading that the 2 and 5s are in trouble. 2's decline started with the move back to the 1/8 tick. Is interesting. Okay. So the liquidity is coming back here. I have to switch the E-mini. You can see there's no there's no activity in or liquidity in the E-mini here. It's because it's rollover day. So let's just come over here and database management and NinjaTrader first. Yeah, rollover. That's a lot of stuff that rolls over. Roll over. Okay. And we're moving over to March. Make sure I have the right account selected. March. Okay. By the way, thanks, Win, for giving us some news while you're waiting for me. You guys are great. I don't know why it was so slow. It just took a long time for me to make breakfast was the thing. Okay, charts. Yesterday was a real doozy of a day. So, we had this huge buy that I thought was a little odd. It's another one of those high R square moves. And it just got creamed, absolutely creamed. And look at the spread between the E-mini and the NASDAQ. Pretty significant. NASDAQ falling hard. NASDAQ falling hard. We can go and look at some individual stocks in a bit. Let's see how bad the damage is. 10-year Treasury. Did not really move a whole lot on it. We did eventually get like late in the day and then in the overnight session a little bit of a move up, but still not as high as we were a day, 2 days ago. And remember that 2 days ago we were thinking, well, why is it so high? It doesn't make any sense. So now that we're getting some real market panic, the treasuries are not reacting to it at all. Okay. We did see it in the dollar. All of the flight is going to the dollar. We got the dollar. All right. Very, very important to note. Okay. Oil also not really affected by this. All right. So that concerns me a little bit that it's just the E-mini. Gold actually took a bit of a plunge yesterday as a risk asset. Surprise, surprise. Copper taking a little bit of a plunge. Okay. But recovering that today. Oh yeah, Bitcoin. Come back over here. Bitcoin was down just a little bit. Getting below 1800. Of course, the first time that we had a big pullback and going into the weekend, and they came back to 16. So a lot of technical analysts will probably still say that the trend is up, or that we're just in a pullback and not a crash. But once you get past this, then you're going to start to have more people say it's a crash. Okay, so the E-mini move in here, just a tad, but it is down. E-mini, oh man. E-mini is too light to trade. It is H21, right? Yeah, it should be H. I'm getting a lot of airplanes flying around out there today. I don't know what the deal is. So I remember this happening last time, right? And the liquidity didn't really come in until the RTH sessions started. Now the Treasury moved pretty good there, don't you think? And let's see here. Market Watch's article today. JP Morgan's Jamie Dimon wouldn't touch treasuries with a 10-foot pole. Good, leaves more for you guys? Well, he's right. I mean, for a long-term investment, but here's the issue. The treasuries are significantly higher than they should be. If this instrument was controlled only by market forces, then it would not be even close to where it is now. Like, if it was just up to the market, the interest rate would probably be like 2 or 3%. I mean, how can you be at all-time highs and then be saying, oh, everything's awful and we need to buy more treasuries and stuff, right? Government manipulation of the treasuries, or, well, I don't necessarily want to call it manipulation, but management of interest rates. I mean, that's what the Federal Reserve is there to do. Has the interest rates at an artificially low price. And the banks realize this and are saying, we're not going to touch it. And the traders realize this and are saying, we're not going to touch it. This is a problem in the long run, don't you think? Brandon says, does ES roll over at the end of the day? Well, so here's the thing with rollover is that you're not forced to do anything, really, right? So let's go to the CME website. Markets. Equity index. All right, and then if we scroll down here, we get like some tools and stuff. Resources. Where is it?
Lobo Trader says looking FWD to it. Yes, but here in Germany we are in desperate need for a hard lockdown, and I really hope our gov is brave enough and not so much worried. How about you? Slightly smiling face at Winston's mom.
So I want to understand your thinking here. So France and Germany just had a lockdown. Pretty strong lockdown too, and
Lobo
that
Trader
doesn't
says
appear to
today,
have really
I'm wondering
helped.
if markets drop even deeper winking face.
Doesn't
Winston's
appear
mom
to me
says,
to have
Lobo
really
Trader,
helped.
I have friends in Germany and you guys were smart in the beginning. I hope you're being smart now. This virus took longer to reach everyone than I expected. I am not going out and about.
No, but did you understand the point, the question, the thing that I'm bringing up? Like, Europe had much stricter lockdowns than the United States did, and they're still having an exponential rise in coronavirus cases.
Lobo Trader says we have a light lockdown, but NMBERS getting worse. We need to be more strict.
Oh, so the problem was it wasn't strict enough. Whew. Oh, they don't show it for equity indexes.
Lobo Trader says yap.
They don't show it for equity indexes. Here's my position.
Lobo Trader says we have now worst ever death toll disappointed. Uzi Knesset says 10 months of restrictions and numbers are still rising. LMAO.
Right, but you heard it wasn't strict enough. So you realize that if the lockdown was strict enough.
Winston's mom says I heard a Canadian today say they receive $2,000 a month. They have 40 million people. We have 300 million more, but geez.
Well, okay, well, we can talk about that one too, but you realize that if we were strict enough the whole time, we'd all be starving right now, right?
Just kill everyone who's healthy. Then no one can get sick.
There you go. So this is the thing that continues to perplex me. I don't understand why I don't hear this. The average death rate, the age of death for people with coronavirus is higher than the average age of death just overall. Like, it's like 80-year-olds that are dying. And you don't hear, the most important thing that we need to do is protect nursing homes. If you have grandma or grandpa, just don't go to the nursing home. If you work at a nursing home, you are locked down. You go to work and you go home, and anybody else that's in your home, they are 100% isolated from people, and that's it. Everybody else that's healthy, you go and do what you want. But the only thing that matters is how you protect the people in the nursing homes. It has now gotten to the point where it's so widespread that it's just going through like an epidemic, and it'll come through the nursing homes. Like, one person catches it, and then everybody in the nursing home catches it, and they all die. And it's like crazy sad. And some of the stories that I've read are crazy sad about that.
Winston's mom says COVID was not branded properly. I am online all day and most people globally want their personal freedom, and a fair number of them think this is a hoax. They also believe this is just a flu-like virus.
See, so here's the issue I take with that. This idea that people would be more willing to give up their freedoms if you just got the right social media messaging about it, I think is kind of silly. Like, you're literally talking about forcing people to be locked down, only be in their homes, not do anything else. And that's frankly what I've been doing all year. I'm not afraid to go out and go to the store, but that's pretty much all I do. Okay. And you're asking people to do this for a whole year. And how are they going to feed themselves? The further we lost control, like in the US, of the tracking of infected people, well, that's because you got to understand, like, you can do all of these crazy things to stop the spread of the virus, but the reality is that something like that is so contagious that it's going to get out. You can make more people want to eat McDonald's through marketing. Okay, making people eat at McDonald's is a little bit different from getting people to completely abandon their entire life and everything that they've built and just let it be, razed to the ground. You're asking for something that is really not realistic, guys. I'm just telling you, that's the way that people are. If I'm a small business owner, okay, and I lose my business because of lockdowns, if I am a worker and I lose my job because of lockdowns, I don't give a fuck what you say. I'm out of a job. My entire living is gone. You cannot market that. You literally just cannot do it. All right? People are always going to oppose lockdowns. No matter what you do, there's going to be a significant, and I mean a significant portion of the populace that is not going to go along with it. The idea that you can keep everybody completely locked down for a year and a half, apparently now we're being told 2 years before before a vaccine is going to be widespread enough to have herd immunity so that we can relax things, is patently ridiculous. I'm so surprised that people are saying these sorts of things, seriously. People will not go along with that. You see, you've pushed for something this whole time. This whole time we've been pushing for something that is unrealistic. And because we did the thing that's unrealistic, we weren't able to do things that might have been realistic, that might have helped. Like saying, if you're everybody that's sick and has problems with this, lock down. Everybody that doesn't, go get sick right now. In the summer when we have the hospital capacity. So that when we get into the winter, we will be able to handle the load. Sorry for your typos. No, that's fair.
Lobo Trader says agreed at Winston's mom. Seth is data-driven. What we see here is very few completely irrational people which we cannot convince that CV-19 is lethal and does exist.
Well, now that's a different thing, Lobo. I feel like that's a straw man. Like, nobody believes that coronavirus doesn't exist or any of that, okay? They just believe that the response to it is improper given the risk. Okay, like, here's the thing. If this was like the bubonic plague, then maybe it would make sense to lock everything down. If this was like the Spanish flu, where it was killing significant numbers of young people, then maybe some of these responses would make sense. But in an instance where the vast majority of the people that are dying from this are people that are either very, very old or have serious complicating factors involved, a strategy that involves locking everybody down does not really make a whole lot of sense. And the thing that we have seen here is that is a strategy that people took. The strategy that governments took was, we're going to crush the virus. So they shut things down in many places. They completely shut things down here in the United States. In most localities that are in a populated area, things completely shut down. All right. People will argue, well, it wasn't a nationwide shutdown, but look, they completely shut down in areas. They pursued that strategy. It didn't work. It was never a realistic strategy. This is like communism. Like, I can't think of a better comparison here than communism. Is people will say, well, communism would work, but all these other times that we tried it, it wasn't real communism. And this is what I'm hearing with lockdowns. It's like, lockdowns work, but we didn't have a real lockdown. Okay, so let's have a real lockdown. It's never going to work that way, because people don't work that way. You see what I'm saying? So it's always going to be the case that I said it from the very beginning. Remember, at first I was like, well, this isn't a big deal. And then, a little bit before Donald Trump started to take it seriously, I said, well, I guess we're all going to catch it now. Like, there's nothing you can do about it.
Pierre Klotz says made my money this morning shorting 3,677 on big volume, with the stats that after a big down day, you have a second red day.
Oh, you think today will be down? Oh, could be. I'll read these ones.
Winston's mom says good morning, Ace Trades. And are you ready to wrap this week up? Ace Trades, do you think Robinhood would be a good place for me to open a stock trading account? Ace Trades says at Winston's mom no on Robinhood.
Yeah, so here's the thing on stocks. So first of all, on stocks, I wouldn't recommend day trading stocks unless you have a really significant amount of money. And even then, it's like really questionable. The futures really are a better instrument for day trading with them. I think that on stocks, you're better off trying to swing them, right? So you know something about the company that there's going to be certain good things about them, or that they're going to react well to this next environment, and there's a good setup and they're undervalued or whatever it is, and you can trade them and you can make money. You're probably not going to make as much money as if you just put all of that money in an index fund. But if you want to trade, you can do it and you can have fun. But even then, I just wouldn't do it on Robinhood. So Robinhood has had a lot of platform issues in the past, and people have been locked out of the platform at extremely critical areas, and they sell all of your order flow. And their main way that they're making money is by selling your data to firms so that they can trade against you, which is also a big disadvantage. So if you're going to do stocks, I would go somewhere else. So I'm using Fidelity. I think Fidelity has been really great. They don't have the best interface, but they're pretty great. TD Ameritrade with Thinkorswim is probably the best interface. So that's where you can go with stocks. But really, oh man, and here's the thing that's so difficult is that the data for futures trading is just, it's kind of getting out of hand. It's almost like $100 in monthly costs to trade live. Because it's like let's see here, $35. It's $35 for the data, essentially, from Rhythmic, and then it's $50 for the trade license. By the way, Ace, did you take that in March? Did you take that in March? It looks like the market is driven by something we don't know yet. I'm not so sure about that. Oh, you took it in December. Well, let me try going back to December. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Is just too light for me to want to touch it in the equity indexes. Maybe when the RTH session starts, maybe I'll think about it. And that's really tough because it looks like they're ready to just sell some more today, doesn't it? Tell that to the 4 points. Okay, but if you get a stop out and you get a slippage of 2 points, don't come crying. To me, it's not worth the risk. I tell you what, man. Some of the worst days and some of the worst trades that I've ever had have been around rollovers. So I come in and I look at that and I see that the liquidity isn't very good. I'm kind of, there's a reason they're not trading it. I'm not sure that I want to put liquidity up. Now, if it's because of a flash crash, that's a different issue. Then I'm like, oh yeah, let's get in on this. Have you read up on Walter? Nope. Probably a scam. Oh man, we had that video about scams, and I've been thinking about that stuff a lot. And you had slippage on EU session low volume, yeah. I had an instance in the E-mini one time. I'm pretty sure. Let's go. Let's see if I can look this. Let's see if I can look it up. But I've gotten slippage before that was pretty wild. Let's see if I can find what the biggest one was. Let's see here, my trades. 2018 till now.
Winston's mom says Ace trades. I am leaning into the future of climate change economics. Given this new admin's pledge to invest, it makes sense.
Okay. Hold on, I have to make this window wider, I guess. Will it let me sort by these columns? I'm gonna have to put it in a... Let's see if how it does it. I'm gonna have to do it in Excel.
Winston's mom says, slippage, Jerry, slippage, no, I think that Seinfeld reference was about shrinkage. And where is a naughty pun when a Freudian needs a slip?
I'm just gonna wait for that page.
Ace Trades says at Winston's mom, I don't think of myself as an investor, rather as a bandit who gets in, grabs someone else's money, and gets
So
out.
this really could go, but look at this stuff
Winston's
that we're
mom
getting
says Ace Trades, the way I see it is I now have time on my hands and my finances are stable. I am ready to play with you gentlemen who trade, but I have to find a chart I can read. I need a NEDOM-S chart.
I tell you, I'm really concerned about the liquidity situation in the E-mini given the action that we're seeing. Okay. Let's see if it'll let me save the Excel spreadsheet. Oh, come on. Oh. Crap. No. I'm gonna have to, it just, Journalytics pretty much crashed on me. Because I had selected way too big of a sample period. So if I go from here, 2018, and I hold on.
Winston's mom says, but I still need to find a chart I can fully understand in my visual frontal cortex learning style. Grok the Vark? Ace Trades says at Winston's mom, I grok you.
So Pierre, you're saying there's something we don't know. Let me ask you. So the way that I see it is the market is concerned about
Pierre
the stimulus.
Says try demo Sierra chart.
There you go. The market is concerned about the stimulus because of comments from McConnell yesterday, and as such, you're getting, that's why we're getting that's what started the action. But then you had a lot of people that were extremely over leveraged, and there's a lot of techs that are extremely overvalued and so forth, and they're taking off, and then just now you've kind of got that inflation is a little bit higher than they expected. And what was the, I didn't really catch what was the jobless numbers there. Unemployment claims was 853 versus 723, which is not good, right? So when I look at all of that, what is it about the action that makes you feel that all that I just said doesn't account for it? You know what I mean? But then there's this other issue, which is that liquidity is really not very good right now. I guess they're putting up 100s in the E-mini now, which is good. But, the liquidity was bad yesterday. I'm concerned about it today. Like, if we have another down day and the liquidity continues to be this bad, you could get like real genuine flash crash type behavior. You know what I mean? Let me turn that back on. Let's see if I can figure this out.
Vlad Stolyarov says I knew to short yesterday. Gary Rich says I'm expecting and anticipating the markets to correct 5 to 10% in first Q 2021.
670. There we go. Okay. So now show me all of them, if we can. Wow. Gary says 5 to 10% in the first quarter of 2021. You don't think that they'll be able to do it in December then? I must say, I find it incredibly odd.
Gary Rich says nope. Winston's mom says Alibaba's CFO Maggie Wu is on the list of Forbes' most influential people. Vlad Stolyarov says triangle pattern was 1/2 the day, then 2x projected move went even lower to typical 2% QQQ correction yesterday. If they don't reclaim yesterday's close, it's downtrend sequence confirming.
Okay. I just find it incredibly odd how pretty much every analyst out there is like, thinks that we're going to have a pretty big gain next year, and I just don't see how they.
Winston's mom says hi, Gary Rich. What
they
does Border Collie want for Christmas
blind that
or her
all.
holiday? And how are you?
You know what I mean?
Gary Rich says in Jan those behind will start to get evicted from homes, etc.
Well, not if they pass a stimulus bill here.
Vlad Stolyarov says I see bigger correction next year and plan for some dip before Santa rally.
The whole point of the stimulus bill is
Pierre
to
Klotz
extend
says
the
the way it
moratorium.
moved with respect to volume, it seems they move the price without news, jobless, or previous resistance support.
And then I click save. It should give me an Excel spreadsheet. Come on.
Winston's mom says they were talking about a $600 stimulus check and no unemployment. That won't help.
I'll save it in backtests.
Vlad Stolyarov says don't read the news, they all have ugly print. Gary Rich says there's isn't enough stimulus to bail out those. It has to be $2 trillion with checks of $1,200, not this BS one currently. Vlad Stolyarov says there's rumors they gonna lock down Ukraine in January.
Oh, you think it needs to be $2 trillion? You know, I haven't heard anything on the status of checks.
Says for spring holidays, 2 weeks.
I know that they were trying, that there was some senators that were insisting that people needed to get stimulus checks, but I don't think that that's been put into the current, the bill. So, and that is an issue. Sort on net P&L. Smallest to largest. Okay. Yep. Four. Oh, you know what? I need to sort it on MAE because it could be multiple contracts. There was one where I had it on multiple contracts, and so that happened. 36. Holy shit. But I only got -10 on that one, so that one must be... Okay. So I have had 2 points of slippage before. You can see right there. Oh, yeah. And I can see why. It was 413. Let's go back and look at it. So what was that? That was after, that was like, okay. That was kind of a down day. That's interesting. And another one in February 25th. Oh yeah, that's when things got ugly. Yeah, I see that day. What was that one? What was that? Was it buy? That was so stupid, Seth. That don't save the changes. Yeah, okay. So I've had slippage of 2 points before. Not that I think that you're going to get that much slippage, but I would just be careful today, guys. The liquidity doesn't look incredibly great. And I know that for me, I have had really bad trading during times like that, and I don't want to. By the way, this down move pretty consistent. Is my ES chart frozen? Nah, it's fine. Although it does look like I had that bug. There's this bug, and I keep forgetting to go track it down. Something happens to the data, and then it doesn't. It just dies, and I need to just catch the error and ignore it. It'd be fine. Right, but I'm just saying, like, in this situation, what could happen, right? Or what should we expect to happen? a part of the recovery that we had a little bit towards the end of the day was because of some senators saying, well, we need to get a deal done. But what happens if they come out and McConnell says, oh, yeah, things are going really great. And I think that we've come to an agreement on the business protections, legal protections. And I think that we're going to give people checks too. And we're all agreed, and it looks like we're going to be able to pass this, right? And what if that came out right now, right? What would the market do? Okay, it's going to move more than it's going to move more than the 20 ticks that you've made. Well, they're trading 200 there in ES, so it's not terrible in December. Don't give me that disapproving tone, young man. And just as long as you understand the risk. I'm just saying, for me, that risk is too much. Really, there are over 1 million January 22 put bets for QQQ to get much lower. Look at COVID waves, more lockdowns, which translates to markets trading down. The highs are not holding. This thinking changes with the news? Or no? So here's something that, another thing that I'm having a hard time making sense of or swearing away, just seems like shouldn't be doing this, is that as Gary Rich points out, like we have a record for new deaths in the United States right now. Okay. Remember what things were like when we were having that before? Even in the summer, I can remember some days that were pretty ugly, even though it was like stimulus and everything moving up. You know what I mean? And this market has almost completely ignored it. And then it's been like, oh, we're going to get stimulus, but we didn't get stimulus, and it's been like 2 months, 3 months now since they first started talking about it, and we haven't gotten it. And only yesterday, after McConnell said like one little thing, do they sell, and then when they do sell, at least the initial sell wasn't that crazy. It wasn't until there was like a stop run lower, and then I actually did jump on it and sold it yesterday after the stream. Actually, I'll show you. So I was like, well, I haven't hit my loss limit for the day, so let's keep going. So I took it, and I got 136 on that one. Yeah, you have to be able to flip the analysis day to day or week to week. It's bullish, then immediately bearish. Yeah, I just there's all of these risks that the market has just been completely ignoring, right? Because they think that Federal Reserve liquidity is the only thing that matters. So even with this move, it's like, yeah, maybe on the open they sell it a little bit more, and then they buy the dip, and that's it. That's the way that this has played out the last 5 times since March, right? Although I should say those unemployment claims, like 853, that's a bad luck. That's not crazy high, but it's not good. It is higher than the trajectory. Like it looks like. It strongly looks to me like this is going to go like Something like that, right? That's what I would expect unemployment claims to do, because people are locking down again. But that's where I'm just like, I agree, you know, what you just said there about it. Like, I 100% agree with you. It's just that we've known that that's what's going to happen now for a couple of weeks, and the market doesn't seem to care.
Gary Rich says look at DoorDash jumped 85%. Are those valuations correct? Who
No
cares?
way.
Make money. Airbnb opening around 65.
No way those are correct. Yeah. But the question is, okay, so like we agreed that there's been a mispricing in the market. What is it that has changed that is suddenly going to make the market realize that these things are overvalued? What has changed that suddenly means that the market is going to see the reality? How do we know that that's starting to happen? You know what I mean? Yeah, the DoorDash thing was ridiculous, wasn't it? Let's come and look at some individual stocks here while I'm waiting for Gary to say something about that. He might be a little behind, but 716 right now when I see this. I bet you that Sumo Logic got pummeled yesterday, huh? Oh, Tesla's looks ugly. Oh boy, that looks nasty. This one is particularly like this is a great example of like, okay, why is it that now is the time that the market's going to accept reality? You know what I mean? Nothing yet with central bank support. This can float up and down for a long time. Okay, so you're not necessarily saying something about today. All right, fair enough. Then I think I agree with you. I think at some point they're going to have to face some music, but I don't know if it's going to be today. This thing right here. So the reason that Tesla gapped down here was because they were offering shares, right? So it gapped down, and then what happened? They actually closed the day higher than the previous day before the announcement. What the fuck? You kidding me? I'm swearing today. I need to stop it. Oh my! But seriously, listen. If you're a retail trader and you bought this, stop trading. Just stop. Trading's not for you. If you bought that one, like seriously, how does that happen? Of course now it's down. But jeez, it's just crazy. That one is just, oh my gosh. Yeah, I can see rare earth resources is taking another little plunge. I'm not quite sure what the cause is for that. Like, it looks like they're going to form another new low there. They're going to go below 50 cents, don't you think? That's pretty ugly. Oh, we should come over here. I want to see. I like to have, I don't know why, but it doesn't save all of my things. Goldman. So as long as these banks are like, as long as Goldman is above 220, it's actually pretty okay. So the banks are not involved in all of this insanity, right? They've been quite unpopular. Now, Apple, that's the techs are the ones that got slammed yesterday, right? Apple. Ugh. Yuck, 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 yuck. Look at all the S-Packs coming to the market soon. Markets are distorted and dislocated. Cheap money finds a hot place to go. Yes. So I was looking yesterday at some stocks. We could talk about it if you want. Chat with traders. Oh, that's interesting. Brannigan promoting a chat with traders episode. I'll have to watch that later today, I guess. Oh, I didn't know that Conversion Trading had a Twitter account. Okay, cool. Bulls stay bullish, says the market ear. Donald Trump tweeting wisdom is courage. That's weird. Okay, so let's see here. What were the stocks that I wanted to look at? Maybe let's just get a new chart here. Go make it really big because I'm going to want to be able to see like maybe 2 years worth of data. Do you guys have any that you think I should look at? So I'm particularly interested right now in consumer discretionary. So if you have a consumer discretionary stock that you think we should look at, put it there in chat. But there was two that I was looking at that okay, two that I was looking at that haven't done very well this year, but that I thought were interesting, and so I want to investigate what's so awful about these stocks to see if maybe there's a future opportunity in them. Okay, so and I'm not 100% sure what the tickers are for them, so that's the first thing that I get to do. Okay, so the first one that I want to look at here is Under Armour, UAA. Under Armour. Okay, so they got pummeled pretty hard this year. Then they are still lower than they were at the beginning of the year, but they've made quite an impressive recovery there. So that chart is not nearly as negative looking as I thought. Now there was some drama with them back here, right? I don't remember what it was, but I remember reading about news at CNBC, something about them that they weren't doing well. So that might be why they've lagged a little bit in this recovery, because that might still be the case. Take a look at Peloton. Freaking fine. PTON. Yeah, so there's Peloton. Peloton was already going pretty crazy into this year, and then this whole thing is just retarded. Listen, this is the Peloton is the perfect example of a stock where it's like, you know, nobody cares about it. Nobody cared about it until that stupid commercial that was like not even, I didn't even really get why it was such a big deal. Like, I mean, I understand why they were getting after it, but I don't understand why that resulted in so much publicity. And then, of course, all of the Wall Street bet guys are watching it, and you don't want to be in. This is a popular stock. I don't want to look at it. Okay, we'll look at these. Okay, so the next one that I wanted to look at was Kohl's. Okay, Kohl's is kind of a similar situation to Under Armour, actually. Bad gap down back in it was spring of last year for some reason things not going so well for them. So this one, it's kind of like, it looks like they have recovered from the pandemic, but they haven't recovered from whatever it was that was making the stock poor before then. So that's what we want to investigate. Okay, so let's look at, okay. I'm going to pull up, well, actually, let's pull up Simply Wall Street. How many stocks do I have left this? Oh, cool. I'm good to look at anything that I want. Okay, so MP, you say? Materials Corp. Okay, so a materials would be okay. I would be okay with the materials. Is this like a brand new stock or something? Are they like an IPO of some sort? How come I only get back until November? Yeah, that's as far back as it goes. Okay. MP. What's special about them? Materials Corp. Yes, they just IPO'd and they have a very unique thing. Okay. SPAC merger. MP Materials CEO weighs in on the company's market debut SPAC merger. And they've been moving around significantly lately too. Like they were down pretty far yesterday, and I'm seeing squawks about that. Materials Corp is setting the pace for the market Wednesday morning with the stock up 5% in pre-market trading at 27. MP's short-term technical score, blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares. Materials Corp has a long-term technical score of 0. This means, yeah, why? It's a technical analysis. Nobody cares. Here's a Reuters. Okay, Materials Corp said on Monday its third quarter profit jumped more than 5 full days after the U.S. rare earth miner went public on the New York. Okay, so they're a rare earth miner. I see, Gary. Why you give that to me? Okay. I'll go to their website. Okay, I saw the the website, and I was like, oh, I don't know, that doesn't look like that will do anything for me. Here's the website. Here, I'll pull it over here. What we do: rare earth elements, building blocks of a modern economy, enabling trillions of dollars in global GDP via a wide range of clean energy, information technology, defense, and industrial applications. Mountain Pass is one of the richest deposits of. Okay, where is that? It's in San Bernardino County? I thought there was like really only one mine though. Oh, the mine once supplied most of the world's rare earth elements. It is the only rare earth mining and processing facility in the United States. Okay, so there's this other one that we had, the rare earth resources stock. They are a mine over in Wyoming, but they're fairly new. I got you. And when I did my research, which was back in October, I think, right? They weren't a thing yet. Oh, that's at the end. They've done pretty good. Almost doubled since their IPO. But taking it on the nose past 2 days. Was this? Yeah, this was the day before. So I'm not quite sure why they fell off because that was a big up day, right? That was the big up day. Yeah. Curious. E-mini opening up here. Let me bring this down a little bit so that we're not covering up what's going on in the treasuries for you. For the replay. I might be interested in making a play in the treasury, but not. I'm still a little scared of the E-mini, to be honest with you. Okay, they are trading volume though. I think it looks like it's safe now that the market is open. So what MP produces, that is the key. By 2022, we will produce high purity separated neodymium and parasiodium oxide and heavy rare earth concentrate. Rare earth are a series of chemicals, blah, 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 blah. Unique magnetic and electrochemical properties of the elements enable technologies to perform with greater efficiency, performance, and durability. Lanthanum. Lanthanum's primary end use includes automotive and imaging vision applications. Lanthanum prevents corrosion in electro vehicle batteries, adds efficiency. Is that the one that you were talking about? That's unique that they make? I've never heard of that before. Oh, look at that. They show us everything about their. I like this. That I feel like I know the location. I feel like I could go and drive down there and visit and look at it. And they do the whole thing. So that I'd like. Why we're different. Sustainable rare earth minerals. Okay, I really like that. I could put that one in as a materials. I'd think that given current market activity and everything, I'm not so sure about taking it here. If we could get anywhere close to 20, that would be great, though. Okay. So I'll definitely keep that on my list. We'll watch. And what was the other one that you gave us? Cold. Oh, you already told us about cold. I think I know what I'm going to see when I see cold, and I think that the opportunity might already be gone on that one. Oh, hey, it's not bad. Okay, wait, let's make sure I've seen what it actually is. Americold Realty Trust. Is that American Elements? I'm not really sure where you're getting that from. Cold is the only company doing what they do. Nobody else has this. Okay. You've given me that one before. Okay, whatever. Seeking Alpha's website is being dumb. Yeah, I saw the link when American Elements. This is a different company, but Americold is the world's largest publicly traded REIT focused on the ownership, operation, acquisition, and development of temperature-controlled warehouses. Today announced that its board of trustees declared a dividend of 21 cents a share. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So what I was thinking was that the vaccines that they have require cold storage, and so I'm thinking that's why this stock would be interesting, right? But it's, if that was the case, they should be like just taking off with this vaccine stuff lately, and it's not. Okay, so they're really careening down there, man. Whew. Look at that. Okay, liquidity is actually down here is not terrible though. It's not quite like what it was yesterday. So, was there some news that we had just gotten there? I'm also maybe a little late, but I kind of almost feel like you could. Hold on. So Gary, is there something else about cold that's special other than that they are cold storage? No, they're not going to come back down there. This is quite the battle here, actually. Looks like I didn't like that turn down, though. Let's let them chill out a little bit first. Cold has nothing to do with vaccines. It's storage firmware. Okay. If they specialize in cold storage, you would think that they would get some benefit from that, though. No, apparently not. Maybe it's not cold enough. I don't know. No. That was an okay buy impulse that I just got there, but you see the cumulative delta not lining up. Okay. Good. All right. I'm not gonna press it. I saw like one overreaction. I decided to take a little bit out of it, and I made $15 net. That's cool. Probably if they get above the open, that probably could go for more. I could maybe take another little splice here if. So like maybe right here. Maybe not. Taking it here is a little dangerous, to be honest with you. Because they're going to fiddle around with the open a bit. Okay. So not quite the stop run that I would have expected off of that, considering how it careened down and it was a higher high and everything. But the trend looks pretty. That trend. Look at that right there. That is spooky. That is kind of spooky, guys. Oh, there's like a 10-point spread between the two contracts. I didn't realize. So I'm looking at my chart, and in March, it's my target area is like 66. But it's only at 57 right now over there. So they're like a good 10 points behind. So we've been looking more at like 76. Right? Well, I'm gonna throw that out there because they okay. All right, well, that's good. Oh, 64? Oh, because I only lost $3 on that first one. Oh, Seth, you're so good at this. Holy shit. It is so weird about trading is like yesterday, well, with the way that I trade, it's like yesterday I was feeling so discouraged. I actually, like I showed you, I ended up, well, let's just show you. Like freaking yesterday, I felt so fucking stupid. Like this shit right here and this shit right here. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What are you, all this? I don't think they're sorted right. Okay. Oh, it doesn't sort them correctly at all. Ugh. Well. See, it always puts it at the top or the bottom because it sorts it by the time of day and not completely by the date. Fix that. Anyways. I second the emotion. There may be a good title for today. I really feel like I redeemed myself with those two trades. I thought those were great trades. Frankly, I probably should have held the first one, but yeah, where was how much did I get? How much did I miss between these two? Well, I can't see what the last bid and ask was, but 47, 48, 49. I actually missed quite a bit in there. So from about I got it from I got it in at 48. So I got in at 48 and I would have taken it to 51, and then I got in again at 54. So from here to here I missed, which is maybe like 10 or 20 bucks, but still really good. I actually, when we came up there, I really wanted that to run. And I was like, well, I would prefer to take a win at $50. Then, I don't like that excursion. That said, this wouldn't be a bad spot to buy. Like right there at 61, there's some volume. So like maybe a little excursion further. Yeah. Because there's going to be this spot right here that they're going to retrace, right? Just guessing. Anyways, but getting those two and 60 I'm really happy about that. Feel like I redeemed myself after all of the noise from yesterday. Okay, now I want to know what it was. I'm trying to figure out what it was about cold. Oh, actually, I'll look at it over here until I figure it out. maybe on their website, Americold Realty Trust. I'll just search for their name and maybe it'll give me a website, americold.com. Expanding and enhancing our global network, announcing our acquisition of AGRO Merchants Corp., the fourth largest global temperature-controlled warehouse company and third largest in Europe. Read the press release now. What's your opinion on trading stocks? Well, the funny thing is that when I started this, there wasn't all of this commissions-free trading. And it was always like you need to have at least $15,000 to even handle the commissions, to even handle like what you lose off of commissions. So that's really interesting. I don't recommend day trading on Robinhood, that said. And like, there they go. Was a good buy. Should have taken that one. I suppose we can keep going. I need to pay attention to this. Anyways, that said, for a really small account, it's going to be better to trade futures, first of all. Second of all, so there's a couple of issues with day trading stocks, right? First of all, is like you're like issues like slippage and that sort of a thing in a stock is not, especially the kinds of stocks that people end up day trading, is not very good. Like when you get slippage, it's bad, right? Because those stocks, a lot of these stocks just aren't as liquid as the futures are. So that is your first problem. Okay. Your second problem in the stock is actually having an asymmetrical advantage here. So you can scan for patterns, for instance, but when you get in on a stock, that might be like the first time you've ever traded it. You might not know what kind of oddities there are and how it behaves and stuff like that. So it's hard to develop an edge on that side. But then the other side is like just being able to know what, having a piece of information, like let's say news, that lets you know what the stock is likely to do. This is really difficult to get an edge on other people. That's why there's so many, like stock picking groups, right? But when you're doing a stock picking group, that's not an edge on somebody else is giving that to you, and they're already going to have it arbitraged out. Okay. So they're very, it's a very difficult to form an edge in stocks. Right. So those are kind of some of the issues that you have. But personally, I feel that if you're going to trade stocks, probably you're better off doing a smaller play on something that you're going to hold for a couple of days. Right. Because when I look at it, stocks versus futures, the big disadvantage that I have on futures is that I can't like hold this overnight. I can't hold these for like super long times. I'm only in there for a few minutes, right? But in stocks, I can, if I do have an informational advantage and I can catch a good stock on a spot or a good spot on a stock, and I can ride it for a long time, and then those are the situations where you can like make 10 times your money. So I think that in stocks, that kind of a trade makes a lot more sense to me, right? But at the same time, at that point, you're swing trading. You're probably not going to make as much money as trading the index, and you might not be consistent enough to make it for a living, so it's kind of questionable. The bigger thing though is that you want to sit down and look at like what is the edge that I have, or that I'm trying to develop, I guess, and trade an instrument that is suited to that edge, right? So we just kind of talked about a couple of things about stocks and stuff. Those are kind of the advantages and disadvantages of them. So if you have edges on those sorts of things, then it's a different story. But if you don't, then I feel like that you have a better chance of developing that edge on like micro futures. They're going to go up there again. So I'm not really seeing a clear spot. I could just like FOMO in here, but yeah, there they go. I'm not particularly enthusiastic about how I got filled there, to be honest. Looks like they're doing okay though. Okay, cool. Go. Whoa, you see that volume there? Whew. Okay, give it one more chance here. Okay, yeah, they're gonna do it. Come on. Ugh. Don't you just hate that sort of thing? You would think, like, how can you be that close? But it happens to me all the time, doesn't it? I moved from one contract to two contracts on the MES and found it easier to be profitable. Well, now that's interesting. So did you, were you scaling in? Were you scaling out? Were you... So, I'm still kind of learning a bit about the math behind various strategies for multiple contracts. But so far in my investigation, I'm finding that all in and all out will always maximize your profits. Right? No scaling. I should probably play with that more. So if there's no scaling, then what makes you think that that's what made things easier for you? Or was it just because you were taking more contracts on certain trades? Now that's a different thing. Okay, I'm happy with that one. The way that they're trading this volume up in here kind of makes me a little bit worried about this area now, so... I'm staying in a trade for a shorter period of time because I'm hitting my target sooner. Oh, okay. So you brought in your targets. So what is your target and what's your stop? Yes, there you go. It wasn't the contracts. It was bringing in your targets. I have to say, if you are having a tough time, one way to get back on your feet is just bring things in, because that's often what is happening to you is volatility is contracting and you're not realizing it, and you're still going for the big runners like you were catching before, and they don't come, you know? Short one MES. So 36.76 in March. If I took this again, I would like to see it come back down into here. Then maybe I could try taking it. But I think that this could move up to 36.76 in the March contract, which is about 36.80 in December. So you see, I don't see anything about Americold that is anything special other than cold storage. And I don't understand why they would not be experiencing this rise off of the vaccine, because you would think that they would be well positioned to be storing the vaccine, because it has to be stored at sub-zero temperatures or whatever. But apparently not. I'm thinking though on this one with Americold, I'm not so sure that for us that Americold and MP would both make sense, you know? So like let's think it through. We would need it's got bank and tech, well, cloud tech, and then if we added MP, that would be materials, which is good. That diversifies it. So then I was saying consumer discretionary, right? We could also go in the direction of healthcare, could be a fifth one, right? But what would Americold? Well, what does Simply Wall Street classify it as? Cold. They classify it as a REIT. Well, okay, a REIT would still be balanced in that portfolio, don't you think? Although, well, okay, they've been around for a while. And they're taking a little bit of it on the nose here recently, so I kind of like that. Oh, and it actually, valuations on this look actually pretty good too. Now, did we look at the chart on this one? Oh yeah. Well, they're okay in an okay location. I don't know about if I want to buy today or not. Well, I have to read more about them, right? Oh, I don't like that. Ooh, I don't like that at all. So they have a pretty high price earnings ratio. And they have a pretty high price earnings growth ratio. But they're low value. Okay, so 24% forecasted annual earnings growth. I know a thing or two about cold storage too, because I work for an ice cream company, but I don't know. Having a peg ratio over 3 like makes me really, really concerned, Gary. You're gonna have to convince me why a peg ratio of 3 is not a big deal. Their balance sheet looks solid though. Yeah, they got lots. They don't have a ton of debt, and it's certainly less than their assets. So I think that having a good balance sheet going forward is going to be an important thing for the next few years, right? Just in case. Just in case, you know. I'm looking at this on Simply Wall Street. Here, I don't bring it over here. Bring it over here. Let's look at MP. No, not Microsoft. You MB. Was it? It was MP, right? Oh, there it is. There we go. So now let's look at these guys. So these guys are all future growth, right? There's the Americold website he's pasting to me. That's what I was just reading though, right? Yeah. $115 in business. That's cool. But the question is, how do I justify such a high peg ratio? Because I've always looked at 3 of a peg ratio. Like, I'm okay with price earnings ratio being high, but price earnings growth ratio, that peg ratio might be backwards looking. So we could maybe look at that. But a forward peg ratio of over 3 concerns me. Let's go back and look at that. Oh, did I change it? Okay. Come back here. Cold. Miracle. So we come back down in here. Okay. So here's their PE. It says view data. Okay, so this was their filing, their last filing. Okay, so I think that is a backwards looking number, so we need to look at the different one. They are different. Look at their growth and expand. Oh, he's saying that the 2 companies are in different industries. No, I think you're right. I think that a REIT versus a materials company is different, diversified enough that we could justify that. Yes, I think totally. Already answered that one myself. Which was it? Cold was the one that we said that. Oh. So that's the peg ratio for cold. What was the peg ratio for this one? Oh, this one is so new that they don't have it. Gotcha. Company outlook. Okay, so their forward PE is 46.43. And So where are the analysts? Here we go. Growth estimates next year, 13%. They're expected to do 73% this year, but then 13% next year? Do they have a 2.4% dividend? Well, that certainly factors into it. $3.3. So the issue here is that you're paying quite a bit for what they're expected to grow next year. So they certainly grew a lot this year, but are they going to continue to grow next year? See here, like they're expected 13% next year and 9.5% in the next 5 years. That's the analyst consensus, right? In order for me to justify putting my money to work here, I would need to believe that it's going to grow almost twice what this says, right? Otherwise, I don't know if the PEG ratio really makes sense. I'm unsure why it grew so much this year, but I'm also really want to know why they're not experiencing the vaccine boost the way that other people are. I mean, they've been hurting the past 3 months. I like that about it. I really, really like that about it, actually. So we could take those two. And then consumer discretionary, but I'm actually more I'm more inclined at the moment to do like we could do. I really want rare earth minerals. That's really something that I want to be in my portfolio. And I took that one that was just like a teeny tiny little YOLO trade that with not really a whole lot at stake on that one. Okay, the numbers will adjust. The valuations will be updated next year, even 10%. So, okay, you think that it will be more than that. It's tough because, like, you know, there's only so much demand out there for cold storage, right? I suppose, though, that if land becomes considerably more valuable, that would help them, right? Oh, wow. They went on that, huh? I was just thinking there in the evening, I was like, oh, I still want to buy it, but I just would like it to see it down here. Now, when they're like right back up at the high, breaking it. Like, man, you guys are asking me the same question today. What's with this? Is this like some sort of a game? Why do you trade futures and not Forex? So first of all, I wouldn't trade Forex. So here again, the question is like, what's your edge? Okay, so like if your edge is that you have inside knowledge about things going on in foreign governments and you know a ton about the euro and the Japanese yen and so on and so forth, then maybe Forex trading would be for you. Otherwise, you're just going to get eaten alive by the spreads that the Forex companies make. And there's a reason why pretty much all of the Forex companies in the United States got kicked out, okay? Stocks here again, you can have an edge in stocks. It's not the edge that I have, but you can have an edge in stocks. But you kind of got to be somebody that knows a lot about a lot of different companies and what's going on with them. All right. Whereas in futures, your advantage can be understanding the liquidity and understanding the news and being able to understand the quirks of your particular instrument. So that's the edge that I've developed, and that's why I trade futures. They manage the warehouse for storage. That's why it's a REIT. Oh, gotcha. Oh, you're saying that they don't necessarily benefit from the land because they don't necessarily own the warehouse itself. They just manage it for the person that does own it. I see. For scalps, IT market inefficiency. Well, so far this one's not going so well, is it? Started out good. Actually, the volume is still okay, so I'm not going to freak out. Delta negative. Yeah, anyways, I would really like to, the goal is to have 5 stocks, and I would really like a consumer discretionary in there, right? And I'm kind of more inclined to have a consumer discretionary than a REIT. But it does look like that cold is in a good spot, and consumer discretionary may not be. Especially if we're going to have like a decline in January or February. That's the whole thing. I keep thinking like there's going to have to be a valuation pullback of some sort, you know? Booz Allen is another one. American Management and Information Technology Consulting Firm. I don't know if that one fits in with the kind of the asset allocation that we want. Raytheon. Well, so airplane manufacturing, that would be a completely different thing. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and look a little bit more about. I might have to start doing some programming to determine if the sector allocation that I'm really looking to get here is really the right one. Like the rare earths one makes a lot of sense because I was looking for a rare earths company and that looks like a solid one now. Just kind of gotta let them, well, let's come back and look at them for today. MB. They're doing okay. They're recovering today. Can you look at any hospital boards? Well, there's some things where I can go and here's the thing. I don't really necessarily want to invest because somebody else is doing it, right? It's great to get ideas, but I'm much more of I much prefer a top-down approach, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, okay, what are the themes and what is the diversity that I need to have? So for instance, one of the themes is that I believe that rare earth materials are going to become more and more important going into the future because of tensions with China and because they're just so useful. So I want to have exposure to rare earth minerals, right? So then I'm going to go back and I'm going to say, okay, so what is the best stock to have for rare earth minerals? And that's the way that I play it, right? So if I want consumer discretionary, for instance, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, what are all of the best consumer discretionary stocks, right? Rather than going in and saying, like what a lot of people do, oh, here are the popular stocks right now, I'm just going to buy them and make sure that they're like reasonably okay diversified. It doesn't work very well, I'm telling you. You've got to sit down and say, what are the sectors I want to be in, and it's balanced, and then find the best companies within those sectors. And then we got to find a way to acquire them at a reasonable price. So good news is that almost everything that we looked at today, we can probably get for a reasonable price. Although I would probably prefer MP to be more like 20. Now that trade didn't work out too well, did it? I might still pull it out, but I don't think it was a terrible pick, but it could have been a lot better, couldn't it? No, I'm just going to follow somebody else. That is a thing that I just don't understand. Why people think this way. Guys, trading markets are competitive. How do you generate a competitive advantage doing the same thing everybody else is doing? Don't follow Warren. I mean, Warren Buffett is good, but you know who makes money from people following Warren Buffett? Warren Buffett. He's already in it, you know? If I thought that Warren Buffett was about to buy something, then maybe I would take it. But I don't necessarily want to be in the ones that he's already in and are valued high because he got in them, you know? Follow the money. No, I'm telling you that strategy doesn't necessarily work. You're getting into something that somebody has already gotten into, and especially if it's already moved since they've gotten into it, you missed the trade already. You're going to underperform them because you're following them. And which conversely means you're probably going to underperform the index. I'm not saying that Buffett is not stupid, but I'm just saying he's already in it. You cannot consistently generate excess returns from following other people. Okay? Now, if you front run other people, that's different. If you know that the big guys are going to go for X thing and you predict correctly and you get in it before them, then that's the money, right? But if you're following people, by the time that you know that they're in it, you've already missed the best part of the trade. When news goes out, it's too late. Potentially, yeah. Okay, well, they recovered that, but it's still kind of trading a little sketchy, huh? Let's come down and look at it over here. Now that was interesting. Not 100% sure what to make of that. Maybe those were treasuries. No, they were in over here. It looks like somebody moved their offer down. But it's not a huge one. Money. What are you watching? Well, I'm always watching the E-mini and the 10-year treasury. So, looking at the S&P 500, I still see some potential upside in it. Big banks messing with shorts now. You know, one thing that I remember seeing yesterday that I thought was interesting was that the most shorted stocks, those have been moving up really well and have been some of the best gainers since the lows, and they got pummeled yesterday. So it does kind of suggest that some people were going short. But at the same time, a lot of what I saw yesterday just looked like profit-taking panic, You can hear the baby in the background. Yeah, what will happen is he'll come over to the door and try and get my attention, and then I don't let him in. He loses interest and goes away. This is his favorite room in the house. I don't know what I think mostly because we don't just let him chill in here. But the question is, how many are shorting this level? The thing is that they did some considerable damage to the chart yesterday, didn't they? This is one of those things that I find interesting to watch because I don't find those things to be particularly predictive of what the end result is going to be, but it does kind of affect people's behavior. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be a lot of retail traders that are going to be more weary about buying something here simply because we closed below the previous day's low. So like if this market recovers this and just goes up to a new all-time high, it's going to be another one of those like nobody really believes it and is just flabbergasted that it keeps going. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You believe it's manipulation? I have to say, 2 days ago when that bull started, it's literally like somebody just flips a switch on. It's the weirdest thing. I can't explain what causes it. And when it happens, you don't really see anything interesting in the futures. It's like the futures are completely clueless about what's causing it. Did Mnuchin just say something? Because I'm seeing that treasury move down like 3 ticks there. If you ever wanted to trade equities with Jigsaw instead of futures, well, I would love to look at equities with Jigsaw. And I think that when that becomes a thing, and it is going to be a thing in the future, it's definitely going to be something that we look into. But I do have to say, I think a lot of you are going to be shocked about what you see in the book once we're able to see it. Some of these stocks are not that liquid, and what you're going to see happen is, we're used to there being a bid and ask at every price, but when you go into stocks, you're going to find that it's not even close to that. That there's this huge spread in between that you could you know, try and put in a better bid or better ask at. So that's a completely different game that I have no experience in, right? And then when market orders come through, you know, there's not really actually that many orders out there. So it's definitely going to be in our wheelhouse, but it's going to be a very different thing too. Good news is I actually, there's been a lot of research on this from people that do have the data that I'm familiar with, so that helps. But okay. So they're struggling a little bit here, but it still seems pretty, you know, all over the place. Cohen says, thank you. Yeah. I do know, though, that because of changes that the regulators are making and that the NASDAQ has requested, that eventually we're all going to have level 2 on all stocks. Like full depth of market on all NASDAQ stocks, at least. I don't think it's the same for NYSE stocks, but for NASDAQ stocks, I think that we'll get to a point where we'll be able to look at them all with Jigsaw. I know that that's the thing that's in the works. Have you tried Bookmap? I've never downloaded it and used it. I've looked a lot into it and I know quite a bit about it. I didn't really find the features that it provided to be that useful to me to overcome the benefit of what I feel you get from the Jigsaw DOM. It's certainly an interesting piece of software. I think that they're pushing a lot of things that are not necessarily as amazing as they sound. So like the one that kind of irks me is they're really pushing their iceberg tracker. And I'm just telling you, you can see icebergs on the DOM. Icebergs are not that big of an edge. Icebergs get the attention because they're, you know, they're such an oddity. And when you see it happen, it really stands out. But the actual edge that you can derive from trading against an iceberg is not very good. Frankly, what matters more is when orders pull. Like, I'm just straight up from all of the research that I've done, when orders pull and it trades through a price on little volume, that's more indicative of what's going to happen than almost anything else. This is the market makers seeing that there's informed trading going against them and pulling their orders and just letting it go. Iceberg can be moving. Yeah, there's the probabilities around icebergs. It's like it's way too simple of a setup. If you know why the iceberg is there, then you can potentially do something with it. But otherwise, it's really not a very good system. Okay, now they have that stop thing, and I find that incredibly interesting, but I don't actually know how much edge you can generate from that or not. Oh, there we go. It finally is going to hit me. Oh, no. Jeez. And now, given that little flush that we just had, I think that they would go and get me, but oh my gosh. We are getting EIA natural gas here in a minute. Whoa, what the fuck? You move down. So you see that? Do you have a script that alerts you to pulled orders in case you're not paying attention? I do. That's what that click sound is. It has to be a certain size for it to alert me, though. So that order there at 20.5 was a little sketch. Did you guys see that? It was like an 8K. And they didn't trade that much. It looks like a stop hunt. Well, I took that one because it was like a continuation. I probably shouldn't have held on to it as long as I did. It's okay, but probably shouldn't have held on to it as long as I did. Now, there is a point down here just a little bit lower at which I might be interested in trying to get in again. So... there's a little bit of fight there, but that's not the spot. I think that they're going to just flush them. Yeah. Yes.
He really doesn't want to run his car seat. Can I put him here?
Yep.
Come join Daddy. I think it's because he's tired. He didn't sleep good last night. No, it's okay. You didn't want to come. Can you stay here with Daddy?
Look, you got a choice. You can either sit here, or you can go in your car seat.
You want to come in your car seat?
I guess he's gonna go in the car seat. Okay, so now they've touched it. Am I still loud? I feel like it's not loud enough. That's weird. Okay, yeah. See, that's the... got the wrong spot. Hmm. This is a potentially good setup. It's a potentially an awful setup too, though. Kid doesn't spin. No, yes, he does. Yes, he does. He's getting to the point where he quite understands what you're saying to him. See, I think I'm okay. I think I just got the wrong price, but we'll see. See if this bar just a few more ticks. Yeah, just a few more there. Yeah, and this turns really bullish. You gotta keep it. You gotta keep it. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe it's okay. Yeah, that's good. Right there. I could add another contract, but I don't really feel like adding more risk. Ugh. President-elect Joe Biden has selected Dennis McDonough, who served as White House Chief of Staff in the Obama administration, to lead the Department of Veteran Affairs. Okay, he was a Chief of Staff. That's different. I almost sounded like he was putting the same person that was in charge of it before, and I'm like, are you crazy? Do you guys not remember all of the drama about the Department of over Veterans, the VOA, or what do they call it? The VHA or whatever. Ugh, man, I kind of forgot about that one. I don't think very many people remember that. Okay, so that was a good example there where they took a bunch of prices very quickly, although they had to take a lot of volume to do it. The marketer asks, is it time to split Airbnb before its IPO? That's hilarious. Is that actually... Do you think that's actually a thing they could do? Split it before the IPO? That would be hilarious. That would be hilarious if that actually freaking happened. Okay. The markets are trading like a 12 VIX. It's not that bad. Come on. You know, for all of the drama yesterday, the VIX, yeah, the VIX really spiked up overnight, and now it's coming up, and it's kind of pointed down. I guess the E-mini would have to be getting up into the 80s, 90s, and you guys had a TV. Okay, so that bar is not particularly good looking. Oh man, if they get up here, why? Okay. If they buy it back up here and get above 74, that's gonna be a real, yeah, look at that. They're probably gonna give them some fight over it first, but okay. So we're kind of getting some games in the 1 minute charts of the E-mini. You remember when the president was shot? What's that heat map on the second screen? You mean the one at the bottom of the screen down here? The one right over here? Right here, that one? That's just the jigsaw heat map. Yeah. They call it the Vista chart, but it's just the heat map in the E-mini. You know, the funny thing is I actually don't really pay attention to the heat map portion of it. I mean, it's kind of nice to know where the really big orders are. That's why I have it do that bright orange. Ooh, okay, so when they pushed through there, somebody tried to stack on us. But actually, the thing that I like about it is the way the cumulative delta looks on that. It's a much clearer view, I think, than what I get from my cumulative delta in NinjaTrader, to let me know whether the market orders are shifting winds or not. Yeah. Now that said, I kind of changed it around so that the largest orders are yellow, because you do tend to see those on extremes. The market is being shut down. European bond market disappears as ECB takes over, says Zero Hedge. The bright colors look more like support and resistance. Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what will end up happening is those are really big orders, really big bids or offers. And so it's hard, it tends to be difficult for them to get through those locations, and you will often see bounces there. Oh dear, my feed just died here. Okay, we're back. I remember the Constitution signing with the quill. It was a great day. Oh, jeez. Okay, it sounds like McConnell is saying that they're going to try and get the defense bill through tomorrow. We should expect the potential for a late night tonight and the possibility of votes tomorrow. Okay, that was a pretty negative bar impulse. They just swept through there. Connell says it is still his hope to do a coronavirus bill. Oh, sorry, I didn't see Coleman's comment there. What resources do you recommend for learning order flow? So, first of all, Jigsaw has a number of resources, both free and when you buy the product that you get. Like there's some that you get when you buy the product, no matter what, that you can see, like basic course. But then there are also ones on the YouTube that I think are just free. And that's a really good explanation of what's going on. Although, you know, the gist of it is that these are bids and these are offers and these are market orders. And, I really, really like the No BS day trading course, like just a basic one. It's like $70. It's low priced. I just really enjoy the book. It's good reading. He tells you all of the basic things that you need to know. I'm going to add. It's a great resource. And now he has setups in there, and I don't necessarily think they're the greatest setups in the world, to be honest. They're kind of things that you will notice happen, but if you actually trade them just based off of that, you find you have a hard time. You kind of have to know a lot about what's going on for those to work. But it's a really good starting resource. But the main thing is you've got to watch it, and you've really got to, you know, keep notes and study out what it is that's going on. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure that Gary Rich is older than Ace. I think Ace is like almost 40, if not over 40. I think he's like 5 years older than me. I think Gary is like in his 50s or 60s. And I'm not saying that based off of guessing. I'm saying that based off of I seem to vaguely remember them both telling us at one point how old they are. I remember the last bowl of Mastodon soup. Oh, man. Okay, those last two bars look great. Yeah. I don't know if the way that I played that out was really me being so great at knowing what's going on, or if I was just lucky, but I felt like I could see the game that they were playing with the pivots and everything, and that they were going to make I really felt strongly that they were going to make a higher low and then turn back up, and that's why I added another contract. Because earlier I said I don't want to add another contract, right? But I just felt so confident about it. Where you lads located? Oh, you're in Ireland. I think you're the first person I've seen come through the stream that said they were from Ireland. I live in Utah. Ace and I live in Utah. We haven't met. We live very close, but the coronavirus has prevented us from meeting up. And Gary, where does Gary live? He's told us. Oh my gosh, let me think. Oh, Gary lives in California. That's right. Eric Swalwell. Donald Trump retweeting stuff about Eric Swalwell. I have to say the Eric Swalwell thing, it's a big deal in it's a big deal in conservatives circles, but I'm not really seeing a whole lot about it in the more popular media. But basically he was dating a girl that turned out to be like a Chinese honeypot. And based off of some of the things that he has said in the past about these sorts of things, it's like really just quite embarrassing for him. I tell you what, if I experienced an embarrassment like that in office, I would just resign. Because your whole thing is security, and you've been harping on Donald Trump over things about security, and then it turns out that you were having sex with a spy. Like, oh my gosh. GST tells the names where individual investors have been the most active over the past 2 weeks in shares and options. Let us look. Tesla, of course. American Airlines is the second highest? Really? Amazon, Occidental Petroleum. I've never heard of that one. Yeah, it's all the same names that you see on Wall Street Bets. Huh? Oh, AT&T is up there. That's interesting. Now, AT&T is a weird one. They haven't been doing too well recently, but AT&T has a really high dividend, apparently. Oh, so why is their ticker symbol T? How did they get the ticker symbol T? That I think is funny, but I digress. Oh, Brandon is from Missouri. Wait, where in Missouri are you from? You have to get like which city? Because I lived in Missouri. I went on my mission in Missouri, but we were in Kansas City. We went from Kansas City and we stopped just short of Columbia. Oh, there you go. so I lived in what is it called? Tipton. I think it's called Tipton. That's right. Yeah. Oh man, that was a weird spot, man. So there's Tipton, and I forget what the name of the nearer town is. There's like a town of 15,000 people, and that was like a big town there. And then get to the next largest town, it's like a 20-minute drive or something like that. on these roads at like, 60 miles an hour, which is, it's far. Okay. 20 miles away. And then, but then another 20 miles away was Colombia. But Colombia was outside of our mission. So we were never, so the real nearest largest city was, we couldn't go to. So everybody's always talking about what's going on in Colombia and the college and all this stuff. And like, we have no clue because we can't go there. Yeah, it's a big college town. It is. Well, and I did also stay in, what is the name of the place over in where Kansas State University is? What is that called? Really, the only big city besides St. Louis and Kansas. You're totally right. Yeah. Oh, I thought I knew what, like, an out in the middle of nowhere area was like, but here in Utah, they have rural towns, but there's mountains and everything. Out in Kansas, man, it's just flat. It's just flat. Nothing as far as you can see, and you just drive forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, and there's nothing. Jeff City? Oh yeah, I'm not familiar with that area. The one thing about that area is they've got this radio tower. So it's like the third largest radio tower in the world or something like that. And no matter where we went, we could see that radio tower, and that's kind of how I knew where I was. But other than that, it was nothing, man. And it was almost kind of, it was one of those things where, like, the way that they do it with the church is like, you have so many missionaries and they assign you to an area, so they get number of missionaries based on the area. But basically what that ends up meaning is that you get these missionaries for this really huge rural area. And there's really not much of a point in them being there. Like, nobody in the rural areas talk to you. Like, we did a lot of stuff and we would like do service for people, but you don't really get investigators in those areas because they're already so involved in their own churches, right? Moving from Illinois, I actually thought Missouri was pretty hilly. Yeah. Was Manhattan. Manhattan is the name of that one place. Manhattan, where Kansas University is pretty hilly. And I also lived in, what was the other place that I lived that was hilly? I can think of a couple of places where there was a big hill, but Wichita was flat AF. Holy crap. That is a weird place. Wichita is really, truly unlike anything else I have seen in the United States because it is a small town. I mean, it really is a small town, but it's like the largest small town ever. Because it's like the only thing out there, and it's a pretty large, I mean, it actually has like a downtown metropolis area and everything, but it just has such a rural attitude to it, And there's a lot of people that live down there too, because there's like airline manufacturers and stuff. I think Raytheon's over there, if I recall correctly. But and in Wichita, there are areas where when they actually started building roads, back in like the post-war era and stuff, some of the people said, well, I really don't want to pay taxes for roads. So they gave them a choice. They said, okay, if everybody on your street decides that you're not going to pay taxes, then we won't pave your road. So you'll be just out there in Wichita, and then all of a sudden for this one block, it will be a dirt road. Mm. I'm just hearing something about stimulus here. was that I'm waiting for the Twitter. It looks like some of that volume might have been robots trying to take that, but I don't think that it's going to affect us. From the press pool, McCarthy says there's a good movement on a potential COVID deal. Says Chad Pergram of Fox News. And they decide to sell that. That's got to be Twitter robots that don't know what they're doing. Maybe canceling the IPO was a great trade, says the marketeer. I tell you what, I've never seen a market where there's more interesting things to talk about with the companies than this one. So I remember there was times, like 2017, where I just did not. What was happening with individual companies was so boring and unimportant. Like nobody paid attention to that stuff, and now all of a sudden there's all sorts of crazy, funny, and ironic things happening all the time. Please hit the like button for speculators at the stimulus, or just because it's almost the weekend. Thanks. Is it? Yeah. Can you believe that it's freaking Thursday? It doesn't feel like it should be Thursday, does it? Kind of in a spot where it might be easy for them to turn it back up, but I don't know. There's a lot of volume there at 73. Okay. Well, they pulled it out. They're going to go right back up to the high just like that? Got sales call for an indicator which they say is AI, and you got to ask, they called you? I never get called for that kind of stuff. I tell you what. I've definitely seen, you know what, the thing is everybody's got, there's interesting indicators out there. I think that they're all overpriced, but there's some really interesting indicators out there. Doing all sorts of weird, who knows what they're doing under the hood. Okay. That's pretty good. Okay, well, they got a pretty good move up there, but that ended up having a long tail. Both of these candles have long tails. So I'm going to take one there. Okay. So you're gonna take my profits there because this is a little bit too much fight in this area still. It could totally just like jump up here, but I don't know. I made making my target onto both contracts is. Yeah, I got 32 ticks favorable on that. It's good. And that puts me up 110 today. Oh, I'm the only person in Ireland. There's not many traders in Ireland, just leprechauns. Is that why they're all already rich? And so they don't have any need for trading. They just hoard it all. It really is. It's really interesting. It must be cultural, but there is definitely a thing where you will see more traders come from certain areas than others. Like Australia has a really strong trading culture for some reason. I don't know what the deal is, but there are a lot of traders in Australia. – 50% of the population don't work, really? Now, does Ireland handle the coronavirus and the lockdowns any different from the way that the UK has been handling them? Huh. So it seems like that the UK that Johnson has been so reluctant to do anything, but eventually always gives in. Oh, they've done fuck all? Oh, really? That's interesting. Yeah, I wish I understood more about that, because like I know all of I know the history and things like that, but especially Ireland's part in the whole Brexit deal thing, as I just find so. It's like just the whole thing about the trade over that border and everything, and why everybody's like, this is a really huge deal, and I'm just like, I don't get it. It doesn't seem like a huge deal to me. Just let them just let them trade over that border. Like, what's the okay, whatever. It's just weird. I don't know. The whole Brexit deal is weird to me. Like, I'm like, okay, like the UK doesn't want you to be taking over their fisheries, and like just freaking deal with it. Like, you're going to throw the whole deal down the toilet over fish? Like, what? All she bands around partying and spreading the virus. Oh, I gotta tell you. I don't know. Like, you know, I have my own opinions on the virus. Like, I always feel like crazy or something, because it's like, here I have an opinion, and it's like, it's, to me, it's so incredibly obvious that this is the case, that it's incredibly dangerous, and that there is every reason to be concerned about it and to be precautionary about it. But despite everything that you do, it's still going to spread out of control and kill people. And we have to come to peace with the fact that a lot of people are going to die. But it seems like I say that, and like some people think that like makes you a coronavirus denier. Anyways, the whole thing is just getting crazy to me. I think maybe one of the things that's going on, especially people on the right in America, is a lot of people thought that the coronavirus would just stop being a thing after the election. That they thought that they're only pushing this so that they can use mail-in voting from the election. Because let's be honest, if it was not for mail-in voting, Joe Biden would not have won the election. It's pretty unlikely. that mail-in voting in those key swing states made a big difference for Joe Biden. Population is just 5 million, so not that many today. Anyways, so a lot of Republicans thought that it was all just political, but now that it's not going away, you're getting some pretty bizarre reactions from people. I think I see a lot of people. I give you an example of family. There's some family that it's like there are lots of things that they do where they're around people and like no big deal. But then for Thanksgiving, like we couldn't get together for Thanksgiving, you know? It's like a lot of people, I think, are doing or saying or believing things because of peer pressure. And then when they're actually in that situation, since they don't actually really truly believe it deep down, they almost completely space that they shouldn't be doing that thing, you know? 100% Democrats may not have stolen it, but they sure gamed it. Yeah. I mean, it remains to be seen how in a different situation if Republicans would vote by mail as much, but I really think that and there's this other thing that's like, does mail-in voting really benefit Democrats or Republicans? And I think that they're always looking at it from this like too wide of a view. Like here in Utah, it helps Democrats. But if you're in a Democrat area, it actually probably means more Republicans vote, because the people that tend to vote by mail are people that just don't care enough, can't be bothered to go and vote in person, right? But in a swing state where all other things are equal, it seems to me that the Democrat side has more of those less engaged voters that wouldn't vote if not for mail-in voting. So I think it did make a difference. And I think that if they were required to vote in person, I don't think that they would have got some of those states. So they have tried for that high now a couple of times, and they're still having some trouble with it. When I got out, the reason I got out was because I saw somebody hitting it. So I'm seeing market orders, like clusters of them. That kind of suggests to me maybe some informed trading that doesn't believe that they're going to break a new high for whatever reason. That, and I was what is it? 16 plus 4. It was like 20 ticks in the money. So sure, took it. That was the right thing, but I could have almost got 32 ticks, so I could have taken it even higher. I do think, though, they're probably going to screw around with it here a bit for a while, but I'm kind of thinking that they're going to want to try and go for that high just because there's such a big order up there, you know? How big is he? 350. I don't know. I kind of think they want to go for that, so we'll see. Like, they're playing the game again. It looks like they reversed. The pivot game seems to be working really well today, by the way. So, yeah. Nancy Pelosi says, I don't like Section 230. I think it needs to be revised, she says, but we cannot repeal it. Don't you? That would be so ironic if Democrats were the ones that ended up fixing this issue with Silicon Valley. Tesla's up $50, man. Okay. What is the pivot game? Let me explain it. I have this indicator. I need to get together with John and ask him about what we want to do with it, because it's a weird. It was a difficult indicator to make. Let's just put it that way. I'm going to explain the rules to you, and it seems pretty simple, but programming it was really effing hard. Okay, so and you might not be able to see them very well, but if you look at my chart, you will see these lines on the chart. So what will happen is when I get a new low, I will put a line there. So I'll say, here's the low of this bar. And then if the low of this bar is lower than the previous bar, then I move that low down. But then if it's not, so like here, for instance, so you see there's a little triangle below that that bar. Yep. There's a little triangle there. That says that that was identified as a potential pivot. Okay. So to confirm the pivot, we have to have a close above or below the previous bar's higher low. So for instance, this bar, the high was 33.68 and a quarter, and obviously we closed quite well above that. So you will find that once a pivot is confirmed, you'll see, like for instance, here was a pivot that was confirmed, right? And then ever after that, it's like pretty good trend until you get into the turnaround area, and then, hey, it turned around. Now, you will get into periods where it pivots a lot. And we're kind of starting to get into that right now. Okay, so you can't just say, if you close above or whatever, then take it long here. And then when you close below, so here would be a good example. So on this one, if you close above, you would have got 36.62. And then the close of this bar, 36. So maybe you would have gotten a point, right? And even then, you might have just stopped out on this right there because you got break even, okay? So trying to trade it off of that doesn't really end up being a very profitable strategy in the long run. But they market cares about it. I don't know how to describe it, but you just be watching it over here and you'll say, okay, like a 43 right now, this is about to be a pivot low confirmed here. And we got 10 seconds and look at what it does. Okay, so this one is not really doing anything because it's probably so obvious that it's going to be a pivot. But so do you see that? They sold it a little bit, but then when the time changed and you could go back and watch it there, that like in that first second of the new bar, there was all this volume that came in because that was a confirmed pivot low. You see, like there's some algorithms out there trading it. And the thing is that sometimes with the order flow, you can get an inkling that they're actually going to do that. Especially if you're like already in a position. So like if I'm already, say I was still in my long from, way down here or whatever, 70 or something like that. I think it was actually 69, but, I would be looking at that and I'd be saying, oh yeah, they're going to continue up. I have something similar. Each pivot swing is marked with the number of contracts traded there. Okay, yeah. So now there's another thing called swings. And there's a built-in swing indicator in ES, and then there's something called price action swing, which is actually quite popular and one of probably the most popular indicator on Futures IO, I think. Now that one you got to be careful about. Oh my gosh, somebody was asking me about that, but too, by the way, I need to look at that again because they were saying, how do I access what the value was, where the lines are? And I don't know if you can do it on their indicator. I know you can do it on my indicator, but my indicator is not public right now. Anyways, the issue with the price action swing indicator is that it actually will like redraw it. You know what I mean? So it'll think that, like in this situation here, you think you had a pivot, but you don't actually know until it's confirmed, right? Their price action swing indicator will say, okay, here's a pivot, and then it'll come up. But then even if it broke the high and then it came back down lower, as long as that distance there is small enough, because it does it based more off of range, it can redraw the line. So I went and I did a little experiment. I took the price action swing indicator and I said, okay, when it draws a swing high, go short. And when it draws a swing low, go long and whatever, right? And I back tested it and it was the most terrible strategy. Hold up. So there's somebody just saying we're making great progress. Pelosi. No. There's somebody else. That was earlier. That rush of volume was definitely off of news. Well, I probably could have held that trade. Like, the thing is it came back pretty far, so I would have been a bit more excursion than I would like, but I guess I could have gotten in again. Overall, though, I think I'm going to say that I'm pretty happy making $100 and being okay with it. Anyways, I was telling you a story. I forgot. I tested it. It was the worst strategy that I had ever tested. So I decided to go and do the opposite of it. And there was actually edge in trading the opposite of that strategy, if you can believe that. So, and I tried a bunch of different things too, because if you go into the price action swing one that's up on NinjaTrader, on Futures.io, and you look at the code, there's some lines like commented out at the top that allow you to change the way that the indicator works, so that it will show you like when there's double tops and double bottoms and things like that, right? So I even tried it on those, and it was just terrible. It was just terrible. That I think was the first really big red pill for me. That was when I started to say, you know what? A lot of this stuff that we say really matters and we care about is total nonsense. Now, NinjaTrader has a price action swing indicator, and I think it's really useful just because it will eventually end up showing you the swings, and you can see how much volume was on each swing, and that might be useful, and how much range is on each swing, because that's really useful to determining what you might want to take for your profits, right? But in terms of it as an entry and exit signal, it is like the worst thing you could possibly get into. So when I look at pivots, and I'm like, well, pivots is kind of a more standardized thing. I don't know if I ever made a strategy off of it, just because I can look at the chart and I can see that if I just waited for the closes, you're almost always going to get too little. Too much of it has already happened. But you can see them playing the game. You can see then that it's like, okay, well, we've had a down bar that we just had like a potential pivot low, and this candle is pretty small, and we got a little bit of a buy impulse. So the chances of them being able to make a confirmed pivot low here are actually pretty good. And so every once in a while, you will see me just get in on a trade on the hopes that that's what's going to happen. And there's been some markets where it's been really, really sketchy, but today it seems to have been going pretty good off of that. So that's what I meant by that. Overall, though, my main thing on today has been expecting some degree of recovery, and yeah, I guess that's mainly it, as I just happened to be going along today, because I didn't really see any super crazy things in the DOM that made me think that I wanted to get in those spots, Yeah, I'm talking too much. I use the indicator for my code to place limit orders? Oh, okay. Well, you should go, if you backtest it and it works, then whatever, then good for you. But the thing that I backtested didn't work very well. I'm just really skeptical about price action in general. I saw somebody show me a backtest for what they claimed was based off of price action. I'm kind of skeptical that I think that it really has more to do with volume, but volume, but you've been using it. Well, and you make money from it? But yours is a little bit different, huh? Pelosi says House leaders have known for 5 years about Chinese attempting to influence officials, including Representative Swalwell. It's disingenuous for McCarthy to try to make an issue of it now after sitting on information since 2015. Okay. Okay, well, whatever. Maybe it is disingenuous, but what he did was embarrassing, and the United States needs to be concerned about Chinese influence. Okay, I got to get going. I have a meeting at the bottom of the hour, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. What should we name the video? Yay. Oh, I'm just really happy about today, redeeming myself on the I don't know if that's if that's really the best title. The funny thing is that yesterday actually ended up being a good update for me too. If we had stopped as where the stream was, I think it was down 60. And then it made all that back and then like some. But then I don't know. There's probably a little bit too much variance in daily P&L than I would like, but I don't know. I'm just gonna call it that. Whatever. Doesn't matter. In the end, the title doesn't matter. For a long time, I didn't even give them titles. So, stay profitable, friends.